Hey guys, welcome back to Tough Love, the podcast with Dr. John O'Connor and my co-host, Matt Calabria. Let's do this, Matt. Welcome back.
Back at it. Good to be back, Doc. So we got a lot going on. We officially have our date of our second national coaching event, January 6th, 2024. Between bringing new clients on, doctors on for the coaching platform, and building new brands with these worldwide companies, my first question to you, Doc, how do you separate yourself from the competition? Of course, there's other coaching platforms out there, but how do you, as Dr. John O'Connor, separate what you're trying to do here from the others?
You know, keep the foot on the gas, right? Keep the foot on the pedal. I was in a great podcast the last couple of days, and it's been bouncing all over the place because when you're in late October, November, December, this is really the season of separation. Why? Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you celebrate, holiday parties, everybody's like, I'll go tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it there. And, you know, I always chuckle because I see a vision that is something that can help not just myself, but the others around me. And so I'm doubling down on my intensity in the gym, my recovery, my nutrition, you know, my training on how we approach the actual business. And at first I was like, you know, I'm constantly studying the products, and, you know, these companies are dealing with us every day and they're sending us information, and I'm absorbing as much as I can. But the reality is you don't want to get away from the little things, you know, and, you know, so many times, you know, I always go back to the Jeff Jones lines, you know, when you do the little things well, it makes the big things happen.
Right.
And when you skip those little things and you start getting loose and you start getting relaxed, now all of a sudden you look ahead 3 months, and what you were doing 3 months ago is killing you now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was so thankful for Ed Millett posting that, I think it was one of his older podcasts, but it was fire, because to me right now, with having my kids going back, you know, have my son going back and forth at IMG and everything we have going on with business and, you know, highs and lows and everything, you know, family, emotional stuff going on, everything, it's so important to stay focused. And, you know, that comes down to journaling, the morning rituals, routines, and all the stuff that we preach about on a daily basis that is really creating that separation between us and the competition.
Right. Well said. And just like you said, it's practice what we preach, right? We're not just here telling people what to do, how to do it. What would you tell your listeners as far as practicing what you preach goes? How could they go about it? It's easier said than done, right? How do you continue to run through your morning rituals and routines day in and day out while going through these changes?
You know, it's funny. I remember when I was in that dark spot, I was in David Goggins' first book, and he talked about the accountability mirror. I post that funny post of me every day in that chair at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning as I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I got my Mark Pro on. I got my PEMF on, hydrating, cold shower, whatever it is. I'm going through it and I'm putting it out there.
It's the first thing I look for when I go on Instagram.
And, you know, that's 7 days a week, 24/7, 365. And, you know, some days, like if I'm having a great day or if I have a day off, I don't have a hard pressed day, I like to not do it, you know, not so much to deviate from my rituals and routines so that it doesn't become a dependency. Right. But I feel like if you really want to create separation in anything, you have to be willing to do what others won't.
Right.
To have what they think they want, but they won't work, and do that extra rep, that extra set, get up extra 30 minutes early. I think one thing that I've brain trained myself is no matter what time I go to bed, and I've only had it happen once. I'll never forget. It was on the eve of Hurricane Sandy. And we had different bartenders and we had different lights in our old house, and we had a banger of a Halloween party. And I mean, I had crazy celebrities, an NFL player, you know, celebrity singers, this, that, whatever. And we were drinking Cafe Patron for the last time. And the bartender was pouring out glasses of it, and people were dying sick. And I have never, no matter how much I drank, missed a Sunday morning session. And I missed Sunday. Like I didn't even get up. I got up, I went into the shower, and that was the first time I had a cold shower experience. And I sat in there for like 10 minutes just trying to die.
Yeah.
And, but the moral of the story is I never miss those days. I always push to go up. And I'm like, you know why? Because there's one thing to say it, but to live it and do it, and there's tough times. It's been a stressful last couple months and everything that's going on in my life,
right.
and staying focused and bringing doctors in and seeing, especially with the coaching aspect, they're hurting. If you're an adult, I don't care, male, female, in the human condition, and you're grown and you have kids and people are relying on you and you're asking for help. We've talked about this on prior podcasts, and previous podcasts rather, how critical and how important it is for you to be there and ready to serve.
Right.
Right. And I think about that every morning when I talk about servitude and gratitude, and I'm meditating, is the ability to serve somebody, to truly give them something that they couldn't do for themselves and elevate their quality of life and those around them. That's amazing.
Right.
I saw today when I was showing a doctor that I can remember, because yesterday I was playing pickup basketball in his backyard, and I was just completing my part 4 exam for national boards for chiropractic school. And here I am now in a situation to be coaching him on our core 4 sciences.
Amazing.
And it's surreal. And it's funny, back then I would have never said rituals, routines. Or if I would have, it would have been a very entertaining
different
version.
type of routine.
It would have been a definitely different, entertaining version of that. I think that where we're at now, it's about saying, hey, we have an obligation here. When these companies are looking at us and they're intrigued by what we're doing and some of the ideas we came up with that we keep streamlining, you're going to see more and more companies come to us. I think the biggest thing when we talk about the season of separation is the one thing we notice, and you're with me every day, is people that aren't all committed. All right. And our friend Chef Ed said this the other day on our podcast. You got to flag them. You got to call them out. You can't be afraid when it's your ship to call somebody out to say, hey, we can't get across this ocean without everybody all hands on deck.
Being all in.
And we've had some really powerful moments over the last couple of weeks and months that made me realize, like, having some of these special people around me, that I got to be vested in them. And then the ones that aren't, you got to try to motivate them. But if not, we're running a program.
Right.
We're running a system, and people are relying on us. And I think my biggest thing in where I'm at right now is saying, hey, are you all in?
Yeah.
Because if you're not all in, this isn't a place to just show up.
Right.
We want to have an impactful day.
Yes.
We want to have impactful experiences with people so they know our conviction, our energy, our measure of what we think the value is blows them away. That they're forced to want to do the research. So like, do you see how strongly they speak about that, their belief system?
Yeah.
But when they look at it, and like how we always say, we reference the science, we don't send them to our websites, and our websites are beautiful. Our technology brings us international attention. We send them to research hospitals that it shows them that these are credentialed organizations validating what we do.
Right.
And I felt great about that.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life that I can say, wish I didn't do that, or maybe shouldn't have did that.
We all could.
But I have to tell you, like, the stories that we see, I mean, we had a patient today. I mean,
amazing.
We've gone round and round with this patient, and I get it, right? I mean, I talked to a good friend about a spinal surgery, and he was desperate and severe pain. She went to a spinal surgeon, and honestly, that spinal surgeon was the best motivation ever for her to come to us, because he basically said, there's no right surgery. We're going to be doing a lot of them.
Not to come to us, to come back to us.
Yeah. And you're going to be coming back for, 4 to 6 to 7 surgeries.
Yeah.
And it stopped her dead in her tracks. And when she sat there today, at one point, I actually thought we weren't going to be treating her. She said she can't believe how good she feels in the absence of doing nothing. And I said, well, I mean, I guess that's great. But, I asked her about, a tattoo on her, and she said, it means chaos. And I chuckled because in hearing her history of what she likes to do in her activities of daily living and her recreational activities, this young person was a beast, surfing, running, hiking, rock climbing. And I was like, well, listen, if we give you back a full life of activities, maybe they're a little different, would you feel like it's not a life worth living? And she lit up and she was like, no, I would love that. And we finished up doing our passive modality, say our adjunctive core 4.
Yeah.
And she went on the something as simple as the bicycle and the arm bike. And I did that on purpose. I let her move her arms and move her legs just to see if she had any nerve pain or any pain, and she didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And she literally looked like a little kid on the day of Christmas or a day of Hanukkah when they just got their first gift.
Biggest
of love.
smile on her face.
And she was ear to ear with this smile, like, I am so thankful to be here.
Yeah.
And, so to me, I think the season of separation, or, whatever you want to call it, November,
Right.
December, it's a gift to want to be motivated every day. And it's our job to deliver it like that, to bring
Right.
it every single day.
Right.
And, tired, suck it up. Don't feel like going. Don't care. It's too early. It's too cold. It's too rainy.
Go and do it.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
And I think that, in all those times I'm talking to myself, and I would love that people think that way too, because I don't think that enough of us do. I think a lot of people are like the rollover and go back to sleep for 30 minutes and they push snooze. I heard a great expression with a previous podcast, where the guest said, you get one crack at it. You get one opportunity at the plate.
Right.
And sometimes that means you got to get hit by a pitch. Sometimes that means you get to be the hero, hit a home run or a walk off, and sometimes you're going to strike out. But no matter what, you got to take that chance, because you'll always regret not stepping up to the plate.
No doubt about that.
So
absolutely. And Doc, I want to circle back to separating from not even competition, but your old self to your new self. This patient, right? First question she asked, I was in the room with you, can I still go rock climbing? And the look on your face was hilarious. She stopped dead in her tracks. You cut that off right away. But my question to you, how do you separate someone's old self to new self? She has to basically adjust her whole lifestyle now compared to what she's used to.
Yes and no. You know what? I try to commiserate with patients when they say stuff like, here I was, a professional basketball trainer, an encore trainer, every rep, every set, every drop of sweat with every one of my kids.
Right.
I was alongside one of my kids today that's now 3 kids in and 30 something years old and probably about 10 years, 10, 12 years younger than me. And I was laughing because we would literally go through 3 to 5 t-shirts. Now he's working out with one of the amazing trainers at the gym and trying to get in his best shape. And I'm like, it's not about giving up something. It's about preservation.
Right.
And, it's addition by subtraction. Yeah. You know what? You may not be able to do that, or you're not going to do it as much.
Yeah.
But we want to get so strong in other things that they fill that void, so you don't feel like you're missing out.
Right.
And, I speak about this often, about not having that opportunity during COVID to kind of close out my training career. But it's okay, because the season separation for us, and I spoke about this, when we were presenting at our first national event, was, hey, I'm coaching again. And there's nothing more priceless than helping young people, right? Making them believe, making them all feel like they're Superman. That was probably one of the most grateful I am. One of the most things that brings such gratitude to me, that I had the opportunity to help so many. Mm-hmm. But now pivoting and creating something new with an amazing team like yourself, our social media team, and Christian, and we have Christy and all these different people coming on board, because the vision that we had has a value beyond what we thought. Like you saying, hey, that sounds like a great idea, but we never acted on it. Mm. Right? That's in those people, to me, I put them in the same category that, you didn't get up because you hit snooze for 30 minutes twice and you missed your 45 minutes to work out. Well, I don't want to miss that. We got one shot at this. And, so many times I don't necessarily, and I see this, trying to be a social media influencer and push content out there. I like to read something that hits, and sometimes when it's too long, I have a tendency to get, social media ADD, and I'll pass forward.
Right.
I read a great one today that was about, if you're going to pivot, regardless of the age, if it makes you happy, chase it. And if you run it down, and you get there, and whether it's a job or career and it's not that, it's okay to pivot again.
Right.
Lewis House had this awesome post, and he's very good at finding great stuff by other people putting out there. And I think that's awesome. You don't try to sit there and every great idea is your idea.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. And I think, when you talk about this time of year, I think borrowing people's thoughts and, using that as motivation is an absolute tool. But I also think saying, hey, this is a year I'm going to start, fencing or running or cycling or whatever you're going to put in there, because you're never too old. You might
give it a shot.
You might have a different version of it because of injuries, this and that, but why not? you know, why not? You just never know. If you don't try it, you could regret it for the rest of your life.
Right.
So.
No, absolutely. And we pivot every single day in the clinical space too. So I think that's huge. And for someone where my opinion, and you can agree to disagree, age is just a number, you know, and
100%.
that's such a renowned saying, but I'm a true believer in that because it's all about truly how we feel.
You know, it's funny. I recently joined a new gym. And I still go to the Fort Athletic Club. You know, my love is there. You know, I love being there. I love training there. I opened that with them, and I'm at Iron Revolution training, and I'm trying to up my training. And these young men and women there are enormous, right? And you know, I feel like I'm in excellent shape. Body composition is as lean as I've been my entire life, the whole thing. And it was intimidating for me to go in there. And I walked in and I realized it was like being in kindergarten and being the new kid, a transfer, or, you know, being able to be just mindful enough to know like, hey, you don't fit in. And I'll tell you that the one of the brothers that owns the place, and it was an interesting story. It popped up on Instagram. It was 3 best friends, the dad and the 2 sons. And the boys had, the sons had great jobs. I think they were in accounting, finance or something. And pivoted and started an entire new career with their dad, who got sick during the process. They built it out with, you know, brick and mortar, did it themselves, and he passed. And they have a gym with 17 to 20,000 followers. It's packed and they're young. They could be, you know, like our guys, their social media team, young, maybe a little bit older. And I ran into them, and you don't know how far it goes, like how nice it is when you don't realize somebody who I was to it, that I'm involved in a lot of things. We're opening the fitness center down in Florida, and the things we have, the anti-aging, all different things I touch. And this young man, I went to pay, did the membership, told my son works out there, and he handed me a gallon of water and said, hey, it's on me, and handed me a t-shirt. And I laughed, and I said, as an owner, I was like, hey, now I feel welcome. Now I feel like I'm here.
Right.
Got on the floor, was talking to a couple of young kids, 18 to 21. And I was laughing, like, that's my son's age. And the guy was like, hey man, you keep yourself in great shape. And I laughed, and I was like, yeah, you're not too bad. He goes, and he said something that made me laugh, because I think I had a winter hat on. He goes, what are you, about 38, 39? And you know, because he was still 20 years older than him. And I chuckled. I said, no, 49, going to be 50. He's like, dude, you got to see my dad. He doesn't look anything like that. And I laughed, and I was like, you know what? It got better.
Yeah.
But I think it's huge. I think there's something to be said that if you want to be in a season of separation, the biggest thing is you have to look at something that makes you uncomfortable and jump in it. Right. And whether it's cold water, whether it's the darkness, whether it's, you know, a new business opportunity, new relationship, whatever.
Right.
But if you're not afraid to create if you're not, it's normal to have fear to create separation. What's not normal is to stay somewhere you're not happy.
Right.
Right. Or you're not satisfied.
Right.
And, you know, I say to you all the time, if somebody leaves and they're not happy, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's addition by subtraction. We want them to go be happy.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was something that Doc Harwood's my mentor, my father-in-law, would always say is like, you know, one of the things you say, I think if he went to bed thinking about a worker at night, you know, more than once, he knew it was time to let them go.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, it was a little bit of a different application. I'm an energy guy. And when I can see a person or persons aren't happy,
you feel it.
And I like to ask them the next step I have to work on in my evolution is getting them to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think when you call them out, they're not honest in their answer. No. And, you know, and so that's an intriguing part, I think, about being a leader, is you're always constantly evolving. Right. And, you know, you can't separate from that. You know, you can compete with yourself, which I always say, like, now it's about me competing with myself. My challenge for the winter is to build my legs up, right? My upper body. I'm very happy where I'm at with that. And I want that to be my next thing. And I feel like always giving yourself a challenge, just like, hey, we're going after these major accounts with our coaching platform. If we get them, it's life-changing for us, right? And I don't give that any more value than building my legs. Yeah. You know, I feel like the value that you put on is everything's important. And when you take that mindset that everything you're going at the same energy, the same level of conviction, the same level of desire, grit, everything. Then all of a sudden when people are around you, are like, dude, he competes with everything.
Right.
And that's why I love, all the tributes that are out there on social media about Kobe. And our social media team made a great one the other day about, is basically paraphrasing him saying, what's there to be happy about? Job's not done. And that was him always creating. His season of separation was every day.
Yeah.
Didn't wait till Thanksgiving or December. And something else that I thought that I want to start doing with us and, and how we coach, how we approach and how we teach others is why wait till Easter or Christmas or Thanksgiving or a holiday or birthday to check in on somebody?
Do it now.
Why not be ahead of it and throw somebody off guard? Like, hey, the holiday season's coming, and you hit somebody on December 15th with wishing you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and not the programs. Like we have so many friends that have money and they send out the 9 million Christmas cards.
Yeah.
But taking that time for personalization, to me, that's also separation. Everybody does the easy.
Right.
Who makes an effort to make a call, make a text, send an email? God forbid you send a letter, And I think those things are powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's one of the many things that I want to do this year, this winter season, to really kind of separate myself and keep evolving to become an even better person, more grounded. And, whether it's a, practice of servitude or gratitude, just to continue to work on that.
Right. And building from there, when you create separation, say the first doctors we brought on for coaching, they're young, in their mid-30s. The doctor today, he was in his 60s, I believe.
Yeah.
And he now looks up to you, which 20, 25 years ago, it was reverse role. So put yourself in his shoes. How does he transform into looking up to you now to coach his practice up and coach his team up?
That's amazing. It's humbling. And I remember over the years watching really young coaches when they were appointed and they won a championship, whether it was the Rams a couple of years ago. And, even, the Yankees had a really young coach for a minute there. And a coach is a coach. When you have the opportunity, like I worked there, he signed my check when I was right out of grad school. And to be in a situation now that, we have a system that he can implement his practice to help him, his son, and his patients elevate their outcomes, elevate their quality of living. It's surreal. And, I'm thankful that I had we were going the last couple of days for our first event. And I said, I can't believe I didn't reach out to the first few people that inspired me. For him to be point blank, I was envious. I'm so competitive, and I've talked about this with people. I'm a performance junkie. So I wanted to eclipse his practice. I wanted to blow his practice out of the water, because that's just who I was at 20, my late 20s. I was like, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
And good is the enemy of great, and all those different things. And now here I am saying, I want to help you have the best version of your practice at your center. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have, strong cast members like yourself around us and around me on a daily basis to keep me focused and say, hey, let's go.
Right.
Tired is frame of mind. Reframe it. Let's go. Right.
No doubt.
And so, to answer your question in, 2 words, I'm grateful.
Love it. Speechless. You nailed it. I'm super excited for what's to come for 24. Again, second national coaching event. That's 2.5 months. So we're on the uprise.
You know what? Today, like I said, today was was to be a power clip. I think today's episode is about, closing out 2023 strong. Get back to journaling, or, to me, it's like the grocery list of things to do on every day, and make sure you hit it. And, make sure there's self, make sure there's work, make sure there's family, make sure there's fitness, make sure there's nutrition, self-care. All these things are so critical and so important. Burnout at all levels is at an all-time high.
Right.
And, to me, closing out strong doesn't mean burning yourself out so you go into January and you need a hiatus.
Right.
It's about doing all the little things and then also celebrating them. I think, one of the things is I'm very hard on myself, and that's part of, I think that's part of why I'm successful. But as I'm learning about what being hard on yourself is, I try to repurpose that, and and say, as much as I listen to books, be hard on yourself when I'm not implementing something that I know that add value to what I do.
Right.
Then be mad about that.
Yeah.
But if I'm good at something, I was just off that day, but it's something I've mastered, I get to learn to do a better job of tabling that emotion and say, I'm more angry that I learned 3 things that have made that even better and I didn't implement it.
Yep.
And, you know, going back to what Ed Milet said today, or what we were listening to, because I love to prep against guys that are iconic in our space.
Absolutely.
And, you know, most people, like they say in school, right, is, you know, you forget or you don't implement 80 to 90% of what you hear, right? So if we can sit there and say, you know, how we talk, how we communicate, let's try this to make it better, no matter what the topic, no matter what the direction, no matter what the vehicle or what we're educating, selling or whatever, we are going to improve.
Yeah.
And we're going to draw attention on a level where people are like, they're dialed in all the time.
100%.
We want part of that.
Every day. Let's do it.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. You know, Tough Love is rising. We're so excited to what's to come. We have a couple amazing guests and some events coming up that are to be off the charts. But please follow us on our platforms, social media. We're so thankful. We can't grow without you guys. And please share this to as many friends as possible. See you again soon. God bless.